My name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. Today I'm going to speak to you about the nature of illusion. You see, we're living in a world of an illusion, and most of you worship that illusion, that idea, but you don't question the validity of that idea as being truth. There are forces at work that you are quite unaware of. That is most of you. And the purpose of your existence on this plane of consciousness that we call Earth is to understand who you are, who you truly are, not who you have been made to believe that you are by other entities who believe in illusion. We hear a lot about the words. God, for example. The word God is not God. It's a word, a symbol, a vessel. It's something that can be entertained by one's superficial intellectual mind. That is the mind that most of you worship as your authority. And that mind is ruled by the entity, the believed entity of illusion, energy, that we call Satan. Already I am vastly above the comprehension of most of you listening to me. You're hearing words, and you're attributing to those words your definition that you have learned, you have been coerced to learn by other entities who have controlled you for as long as you can recall, clear back to your birth. As a toddler, your mind beginning to take shape by your authority symbols, the entities that you call your parents. Already, you're asking the question, what's this guy talking about? This guy's coming from left field. He's just spewing words. But if you examine the energy, the spirit of my words, they cannot be denied, for I am a Christ. And the Christ is nothing more than a simple man or woman of truth. That's not what you believe. You believe that Christ is some superhuman. No, that's your education. That's your mind control. That's your satanic mind control that has been wrought upon you by the authority symbols of religion and government, those who create the institutions of coercive learning. You see, what you learn in your school is not truth, and you're learning that you are an entity to be under control to serve the aims of authority symbols for your life. That which becomes lifelong servants are called slaves. Oh, you can change that word into anything you like, but you can't change the energy of that dualistic, fear-based energy that if you don't go along, if you don't carry out the demands of those authoritative symbols, you will be punished. You will be incarcerated. You will be killed. There you have it. That's what your government is. It's a fiction. It's an idea. That's all it is an idea. You have created that government with your thoughts. You are the living man. You are the living woman. But you have relinquished the power of who you truly are because you doubt yourself. You have been trained to doubt yourself. And that makes you controllable. That makes you a slave. That makes you a citizen. That makes you a believer. Not a very promising view of the kind of world that you live in, is it? You can't deny. You can dream, you can wish, you can hope, for those are illusory escapes that have been promoted in the control mechanism of education. There's always a better day ahead. There's always a better you ahead. But what you don't understand is that that better you is eternal. It doesn't happen in the future. It can only be experienced in the eternal moment of now, when you understand there is no time in life. There's no time in living. Time begins when you believe in a time-bound thought parameter that you believe to be your life, which begins with birth and continues on in time until there is a death, an ending, a beginning, a continuation of energy, and an ending of that energy. That's called life. It's birth and death. It's all symbols. It's all illusion. You see, if you are living now, you are eternal. You are beyond time and space. You are beyond your ideas. If you are relegated to responding only to your ideas, you are a partial idea that you believe to be your ego. Now, ego is nothing more than habitual patterns of behavior that have been condensed in memory, and you repeat those behaviors because they suit you, they serve you somehow. And that begins to form your personality, your ego. And that's what lives. But that in itself is just a partial illusion believed by the entity called self. That applies to each of you. I speak to you, and you hear words. You hear I and you. Understand? In that instant, there is the illusion of life acting itself out. It's called duality. That's found in the satanically ruled conscious intellect. In fact, what is going on at the subconscious level, which is the non-dualistic level of mind. Non-dualistic, what does that mean? It means there is no separation. There is no opposition. Nothing is broken down in terms of words, dualistic words, that you either believe or you dispute. I'm talking about life itself. At the non-dualistic level, there is only what is, and what is called truth. There is no opposition to truth, therefore it cannot be argued with. It cannot be debated. Those are the games of the satanic world that are carried out by the superficial dualistic intellect that always is based in contradiction, and that contradiction is called sin. For in life there is only what is, with no contradiction. Therefore it is experienced in the subconscious mind. If you find yourself arguing, debating, believing in time-bound destinies, you are in hell. And hell is the satanic-born, dualistic realm of contradiction. That's civilized life. That's what you know, you see. It isn't real. It isn't true. But to you, that is your life. And you don't know how you got there. You don't know how to get yourself out. So you create escapes. Escapes that will take you away, that will alter your consciousness. Called drugs. Called alcohol. All they're doing is changing your consciousness in a mechanistic way. But when that time-bound solution wears off and you sober up, you're back to where you were from, with a few steps down, because you failed to act accordingly to life and its demands. Religions are created to keep you under the control of those who are the authority symbols of religion. They're the mind controllers, the satanic mind controllers. And they serve the opposite side of the coin of the political leaders who lead by force and fear. That's called government. You understand? Those are your gods. You create a president, a head of a fictional idea that you call government. And you accord him great honor. That too is an illusion, because that honor turns itself, because it is dualistic, into its opposite, and then you begin to hate that authority symbol. And you seek ways of bringing that down. Nowhere is that clearer than at the present day when you look at the Democrats and the Republicans, and how the Democrats, who are in charge of the group of people who are at the lower end of the spectrum, seek to undermine the authority of the leader, who happens to be Republican. And they want to bring him down. They want to discredit him. They want to smear him. Why? Because that is the tactic of the satanically ruled intellectual mind. And those who adhere to that level of consciousness are in the depths of hell, because they are confused and they believe that thought will rescue them, will pull them out of their confusion, their anger, their violence. So they make rules, words, and you believe those words. Those words are called law. There's only God's law. And God's law is truth. How does one achieve? You see, already, since I'm talking to you, I use the word achieve, which indicates a dualistic relationship. Achieve means to gain something that one does not have at the present moment. That's dualistic. That's a sign that one is speaking to another in hell, a dualistic relationship. But in fact, I am speaking to the winds, to whoever can grasp the holistic truth of what I am saying. God is truth. It can only be experienced now. If you have the idea of truth, that's experienced in the future. And it also indicates the present, which is different from the past. You understand how fragmented you have become in believing in ideas that truly don't exist, but for your own generation of them. You are the creator of your world, and you live in your subconscious mind because there's no opposition to be found there. Any opposition whatsoever is proof of being caught, trapped in the dualistic intellect. That which has been forged by the institutions made by fictional men called persons, all legalese, all satanic. You see, the legal system is Satanism personified. It diverts the attention of what is into the thought of what is, broken down into good and evil. And then you are expected to perform according to the imposed definition of good. And if you don't, you've committed a crime. You've created evil. And then you are punished. That's man's law. That's Satan's law. You understand? Oh, you can't. You can't grasp what I'm saying because you are automatons. You are conditioned, programmed, indoctrinated automatons. You're responding to your intellectual grasp of the definitions of the words that I use. That's called education. Do you understand? That's not real. It's an illusion. You're living in an illusion. Life, as you know it, is an illusion of yours. You believe. You see, that which is believed by itself cannot exist. It has no existence because you have to believe in it. If it did exist, you would understand it. You would know it. You would be it. But that, unfortunately, is not what happens. So you continue on in your confused state of dualistic belief. It's called education, and it places you in conflict with another who has been educated, mind controlled, satanically mind controlled differently by other cultures, by other beliefs, faiths. Do you understand? Religions separate you. Politics separate you. Therefore, they are both satanic in content. They are not real. Because if they were real, they were true, all would exist in that state of oneness. And there'd be no opposition. There would be no confusion. understand? As long as you operate unbalancedly between your subconscious mind, the non-dualistic mind, and the dualistic satanic intellect, you shall remain confused. And looking for a solution to that confusion will come from the same level of consciousness of intellectualism that caused the problem. Therefore, the problem cannot be resolved by the intellect. That must be seen. You can only solve a problem when you enter into the realm of non-dualism, of what is, where there is no opposition. There you will find understanding. You will find love. You will find cooperation. You see, that is the true nature of all living men and women. That's what God is all about. When one lives in their subconscious mind, they are the creator of their own world. And although that world is affected by the conscious intellect, which changes the energy into a dualistic realm, that man or woman who understands who and what they are remains safe, balanced, loving in the realm of the subconscious mind. They're unmoved by all of the forces of the satanic intellect. I am such a man. I'm a Christ. But then again, so are you, but you don't. You've been made to doubt yourself. And that has thrown you into the realm of hell, where you believe yourself to be a slave. You're no slave. You are the creator of your own quality of life. No man can change that. Because if they're trying to change you, they're operating dualistically, satanically. They have no power over one who lives his life in truth, to what is. I have proven that in my 25 years of participation on the internet. You will wonder, what is it that has protected this living man from all of the assaults, all of the assailants who attempt to bring down this living man, only to have it create a boomerang effect upon them. And it brings them down, it exposes them. And their art of creating conflict within another, called mind control, causes them to be left hanging in the wind. They understand that they have been exposed. I'm not talking about normal men now. I'm talking about government. I'm talking about religion. I've been through it. They tried to put me away for 40 years on a high beam violation that turned sour because I was traveling. I was not driving commercially where I was required to have a driver's license. But you see, so do you, and you accept that. You've made a contract. They made an offer. If you're to drive your automobile, you need to have a license. You need to be insured. And if you believe them, which is an illusion, you agree, you consent, you contract, and they the satanic leaders who operate on contract have power over you. They create a fiction out of you. They call that fiction a person, a non-entity. You're a living man. You're a living woman. You're not a dead person unless you believe yourself to be, and you contract through your consent. Stop contracting, because that's all they're doing. The only power that government has is by contract, satanic contract. And you must agree. That's the essence of the legal profession, is it not? Think about it. They have no power over you. They're just men or women like you. But if they can trap you into confusion, and they have a signed contract, your signature on that contract, you have been demoted into a non-living entity. That describes most of you. It's called citizenship. You are the creators of government, and yet you act like you are slaves of the government. You go to war at the word of someone who resides at the level of power of government. The president, for example, who declares war. It's all an illusion. So you go to war, and you're trained to kill. You're trained to remove the illusion of the obstacle before you. And you will either kill or be killed. That's the nature of war. That's the truth of war. The what is of war. Death, destruction. Exploitation. Vast amounts of energy converted into money that goes into the war effort. Economic collapse that is going to occur. No question about that. It has to collapse because it's an illusion. But what happens if you believe that illusion to be true? You're shifted, for those of you who survive the collapse, who are not dead as a result of the collapse. You will shift into another mode of dualistic belief, which is called the New World Order. It's the same satanic system of mind control that you believe, you support. The institutions, the government, the religion, the banking, the corporations, they're all illusions. But that makes up your life. And you believe that's true, but you believe it. You don't understand it. It's not whole, it's not complete. See, understanding comes when you have completed the dualistic, fragmented idea into a oneness, a wholeness, a completeness, truth. That's when you understand. And that's why you're here on this earth. You're going through many dualistic satanic trials to come to that calmness of completeness that is found only in the subconscious mind, when the dualistic mind is laid to rest. One must die, must end, to be reborn of the spirit of truth. And that's all that is meant by that phrase. You end the chattering of your satanic dualistic intellect, and all there is peace, of oneness, of quietness, of calmness. heaven on earth, and it's eternal, unchangeable. That's the nature of the energy that I bring to you. I challenge each and every one of you in the world, not merely here in the United States of America, to watch my videos, for they contain the truth of what is. It defies all the satanic control measures of government and religion, and that is why my truth is regulated, is banned by those who control the means of communication on the internet, for example. If you look, you'll find that those who promote the dualistic ideas of aims of hell have an open door policy. They're given thousands and millions of approvals, of likes, while I, this living Christ, am relegated to being controlled to double-digit numbers. That's how it's controlled. And you haven't got a clue that's happening to you while it's happening to you. You're under mind control, under satanic mind control, and you don't know it. You don't know any better. That to you is life, and that is your ignorance operating. You're all spiritually ignorant of who you truly are. I am a Christ, a man of truth, and so are you. You suffer from amnesia. It's time for you to set aside that false sense of security that is never delivered, always promised, but never delivered by those who lead you and extract your energy, your money, so that you are left in a depleted state of energy. That's a slave. The only purpose is to serve the system. The system is satanic. It needs you. You don't need it. But you have been made to doubt yourself. It's time for you to understand who you truly are. And that's what I bring to you. I bring to you the truth. Do with it what you will.